In a world addicted to noise, the loudest voice isn't always the one in control. Real power, lasting, undeniable power, belongs to the calm presence who sits quietly, observes, and moves with intent. The person who doesn't waste words, who acts only when it matters, isn't avoiding the spotlight. They're sharpening their edge. We're taught to speak up, prove ourselves, and constantly showcase our progress. But the more you explain, the more you dilute your edge. The more noise you create, the easier it is to miss the bigger picture. The Stoics knew this. Composure, restraint, and action at the right moment weren't just virtues. They were strategies for winning where others faltered. Today we're diving into the strategy of silence, not as avoidance, but as power, the ultimate move in a world obsessed with attention. If you're searching for strength that comes from within, you're in the right place. If that sounds like something you need right now, stick around, because what you'll take from this isn't just motivation. It's a new way of showing up in the world. Welcome to Stoic Secrets. If you're someone who appreciates content that cuts through the fluff and helps you build real strength from the inside out, tap subscribe and like if you value content that cuts through the fluff and helps you build unshakable inner strength. Let's get started. The magnetic power of quiet. Have you noticed? The strongest presence in a room is rarely the loudest. It's the one who listens, waits, and when finally speaks, everyone pays attention. That's not magic. That's mastery of emotion, of impulse, of energy. The person who doesn't rush to fill silence commands the room, not by force, but by self-control. Socrates said, "The beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms." But how can you know yourself if your thoughts are always spilling out before they're fully formed? Most people confuse noise with value. They believe talking more makes them look smarter or stronger. But noise only fills the space where intention should live. Power isn't in how much you say, but in what you choose not to say. When you stop reacting out of ego, stop explaining out of insecurity, you conserve your energy. In that silence, you create space, a forge where your thoughts sharpen and your presence grows heavier. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Silence is the door to that awakening. It's where you separate your real self from the performance. Every time you speak just to be included or important, you leak energy you could have invested in action. Worse, you give away your plans before they're ready. You inflate them with attention, and when it's time to act, your motivation is gone. Plato put it best. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. When you operate from inner security, you don't need to announce every move. Your results do the talking. Moving in silence, building in depth. There's power in moving in silence. You stop chasing applause and start pursuing depth. You sit with your ideas before declaring them. You let your instincts, not your ego, guide you. And when you finally act, it's not about proving anything. It's simply who you've become. Here's the beauty. When people finally notice, you don't need to say, "I told you so." You've already moved on. That's real power, momentum that doesn't depend on anyone's reaction. Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." That knowing doesn't happen in noise. It's born in stillness, in the moments when you no longer feel the need to explain or defend. When you're not performing, you start truly listening. That's when you stop being reactive and become strategic. You stop saying, "Here's what I'll do," and start asking, "What actually needs to be done?" and you do it quietly, fully, without wasted words. When you talk about a goal, your brain rewards you as if you've already accomplished it. The applause comes early, and the fire fades before the work begins. Good intentions, loud announcements, little to show for it. Instead, build in silence. Let your results speak. Talk only when it adds real value. Otherwise, keep your focus and your edge. Think of a chess master. They don't rush, don't show off. They study, calculate, and then strike one quiet, precise move that changes the game. That's what silence gives you. Space to think, space to move wisely. Discipline is active. This discipline isn't passive. It takes strength to hold your ideas close, to work without applause, to build quietly while others chase attention. Silence is aiming before firing, not shooting wildly and hoping something lands. Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." If your energy is always pointed outward, toward opinions, praise, or attention, you'll never build anything meaningful. Silence is the turn inward. It's where you stop reacting and start creating. Your focus sharpens, your decisions become intentional. Your results are undeniable because they were earned, not just talked about. Plato believed the measure of a person is what they do with power. Real power starts with self-control over actions, words, and what you reveal before the work is done. Every time you speak, you give people a piece of your inner world. Wait until it's worth sharing. The loudest noise isn't in the world, it's in your head. The inner critic, the doubter, the overthinker. These derail more potential than any outside obstacle. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That inner noise feels like logic, but it's often just fear. The unstoppable version of you doesn't need commentary or approval. It just moves. Silence isn't just holding your tongue. It's silencing the debate within. When your mind is clear, you see opportunities others miss. Plato said, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." Silence is the path to that victory, clearing the way to self-awareness and real strength, the strength of stillness. Can you sit with yourself in true silence? No distractions, no scrolling, just you and your thoughts? Most can't, because when the noise dies, insecurities surface. But that discomfort is your edge. Face it, and you gain a strength that no noise can touch. Being unmoved doesn't mean you don't feel. It means your feelings don't own you. The pause between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Reaction is impulsive. Response is intentional. True leadership isn't about volume or having the last word. It's about presence, the energy you bring before you even speak. The quiet leader doesn't demand attention. They command it through clarity, stability, and stillness. Aristotle said, "He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader." To follow well, you must listen deeply, not just to reply, but to understand. That's the essence of using silence as a strategy. In negotiations, the silent person listens, lets others reveal themselves, then speaks with impact. That's precision over volume, and it applies everywhere, from business to personal growth. The power of subtraction. Not all action is progress. Not all effort is effective. Plato said, "The excessive increase of anything often causes a reaction in the opposite direction." Silence forces you to prioritize and subtract, to go deep instead of wide. The silent strategist says no more often, focusing energy on what matters. Winning isn't about speed, it's about direction. Silence helps you find that direction. It reminds you that you don't need to react to every stimulus or explain yourself every time. When you're lost in doubt, Silence isn't a void, it's a mirror. It strips away distractions and shows you the truth of who you are. Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." But silence doesn't let you run, it grounds you in reality. That's where strength begins. Even in action, silence matters. You can be in motion and still rooted in quiet. The most effective action often grows out of stillness, where strategy and timing are refined. Plato said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power." And one of the greatest powers is the ability to pause, to act with precision, not just speed. The long game greatness isn't about intensity, it's about clarity. And clarity only appears when you listen beneath the noise. Even as you build, carry silence with you, as awareness, as depth, as a compass. Some move just to say they're moving, but power comes from strategic patience, waiting not out of fear, but from wisdom. When the moment comes, you act, all in, no hesitation, no need for applause. That action, born from silence, leaves a mark that lasts. Fame is loud and fleeting. Legacy builds quietly in the background without needing attention. Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Legacy is built on quiet consistency, on habits that form the foundation of something unshakable. Live focused, patient, grounded. Don't worry about being remembered. Focus on being real and useful. The most powerful people are remembered not for their words, but for what they built in silence. The quiet edge. So, what if you stopped explaining and started executing? What if you watched more, reacted less, and acted only when it mattered? The best moves aren't loud, they're informed and intentional. Let your work speak for you. Let your consistency become your legacy. You don't need a megaphone when your results carry weight. When you move with intention, people feel it. No explanation required. Jung believed true power is built in silence, when you're alone with your thoughts, building without praise, showing up day after day. That's where character is forged. In a world full of noise, be the signal. Speak less, say more. Don't posture. Command the room with your presence. The deepest waters make the least noise. Let your silence shape you. Let your actions speak. And when the time comes, let your results be undeniable. If this resonated with you, there's more to come. Reminder, tap subscribe and like if you value the content that helps you build unwavering inner strength. Thank you for being part of Stoic Secrets. Stay grounded, stay focused, and keep walking your quiet path. We'll be here when you return.